Okay, YouTube friends everywhere. Let me see if I can, I've got to mute this thing or I'm going to get some wicked feedback here. There we go. Okay, so we are about to kick this thing into gear. A little bit of a scramble here. We ran long and late on some early bird check-ins, but that's okay. We've got it all figured. I think we've got it all figured out. Whatever we don't have figured out, we'll figure it out as we go. So here we are. And let's see. I've got a script. I know I'm missing something because usually I have. Oh, there's a yeah. There's part of the trouble. Let's see. I can fix that. I think if I put that there and then click on System Manager, that's going to tell me what I want to know. All right, and it's time to go. So let's go ahead and kick this thing into gear, and we'll get rolling. We got 16 early bird check-ins. You know, that's the early bird group. That's a good net, just as it is. If no one else checked in, I would count that a fantastic net. I've had nets before with less than 10. Don't tell anybody. This is only for the YouTube group. Okay, stand by. We're going to go on the air. Good evening, and welcome to the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight I'll be working off the Pine Log Repeater, and we are linked in with the following machines. Lookout Mountain, the flagship 675 machine, Somerville, Crawford, McDonough, Jersey, Columbus, Noonan, Zebulon, and the Moreland machine. Actually, the Moreland machine is probably not in the group tonight, but looks like it's currently disconnected. Tonight our RF coverage is approximately 31,000 square miles. This net takes place every Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. I'd like to thank everyone who's made the North Georgia GMRS the most expansive and active GMRS network in the country. Your net control tonight is Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. My name is Justin, and I'm located at Studio B here in Woodstock, Georgia. On the net, you can talk about your day's activities, radio equipment, or anything you think we'd be interested in hearing. This is a family-based network, so we encourage you to get your family involved. Once the floor is open, it is permissible to address other members of the net by their name or tactical unit number. Your FCC call sign is only required when you sign in and sign out of the net. When signing in, please speak slowly and clearly. Easy for me to say. As you give your call sign, your tactical unit number, your name, and your location. I need all four of those things for the log, please. Your call sign gives me an opportunity to get ready to enter the data that I'm going to put in. I need your tactical unit number so I know how to address you. I need your name just simply for the log and also so that I know how to talk to you. And your location, please, again, just simply for the log. It doesn't have to be your precise location. You don't need to give me an address. A county, a city, a state is fine. At this time, I'll take check-ins. Our VoIP service is still down. We have our smartest and brightest folks working on that and hope to have that back in play very soon. But with that in mind, we'll go ahead and move on. And at this time, we'll take check-ins from any guests, visitors, new users, or youth members. This is anyone who is not a member of the North Georgia GMRS but would like to check in, or any brand new members, and also any youth. Net control standing by. Okay. Looking for 252. Is Shad and Emerson. Okay.
Atlanta 522, this is Dyson Ellis Road, checking in and checking out.
522. Let's see. Atlanta 522, acknowledging your check in and out. I would very much like to call your name, but I know I'm going to mess it up. So do you mind coming back with your name one more time and help me to get your name right? I believe that is Xiaoxing. I hope I have that correct. Xiaoxing, thank you so much for checking in with us this evening. It is great to hear from you, and I'm excited to put your name in our log for this evening's net. And I've got you in log as in and out, so you don't have to come back on the radio again if you don't want to. But if you do want to, you are more than welcome. Do we have any other new members, guests, or youth that would like to check in? Okay, last station that tried to check in, I was unable to read any of that. You'll have to see if you can improve your station, get to a better location, or make some effort to improve your signal there to the repeater. Net control at this time is going to go ahead and move on to our next group of check-ins. Where's my script at? I lost my script. Stand by. Ah, there it is. Okay, so at this time we're going to move on to Pine Log check-ins. Anyone wishing to check in on a Pine Log repeater, please call Net Control now. This includes any youth members, any guests, or new members. Please call Net Control now.
948 WRAR 430. Gary in Woodstock. Check me in now.
Did anybody get a copy on that last station that can relay? There were bits and pieces of it that were readable, but I just couldn't make enough of it out. Okay, Net Control standing by for additional Pine Log check-ins.
This is Atlanta 57 WQZC 82, Andrew in Holly Springs. This is Atlanta WREB 450, Atlanta 26. Flip in the beautiful Druid Hills. Hope everybody's doing well tonight on tax day. Checking in.
Atlanta 410, Glenn in Canton, checking in.
This is
That's not right.
Lane 0 WQV 439, Houston and Austin.
Okay.
This is WRBT 591, Atlanta 180. Mike up in Cherry Log. I'm not
I'm not sure I got checked in early or not, but I'm going to hang in here tonight as long as I can.
Okay. Okay, let me see if I can figure out where we're at and get everybody up to speed here. Gotta scratch an itch here. Thank you. All right. Let me put the there we go, and like that. So I have Atlanta 525 was Shad in Emerson. I think I've already acknowledged that call, but I didn't have a name or didn't have that right. So just want to come back and confirm that. Also want to confirm Atlanta 434 Ron incoming, busy with band practice. He's in and out, but he may come back after band practice and try to jump in as he has done before. So let me move on to Atlanta 948, Gary in Woodstock. Gary is in and out with us this evening. Thank you, Gary, for checking in. Appreciate hearing from you. And we have Atlanta 57, Andrew in Holly Springs, checking in with us tonight. Thank you, Andrew. Looking forward to talking with you here in a little bit. We have Atlanta 26, Flip in Druid Hills. Flip, it's great to hear from you, and thanks for your help in the log tonight. I am behind the 8-ball, as you can see. And you've been going in and filling in the blanks and behind me, and I very much appreciate that. Also have Atlanta 410, Glenn in Canton. It's great to hear from you, Glenn. Looking forward to chatting with you here in a little bit. Atlanta 780, Houston in Austell. Great to hear from you, Houston. And I understand that you have an announcement to make. I had every intention of calling you today to discuss this ahead of time, but I never made it happen. So this is your fair warning that I'm going to ask you to make an announcement, and I think you know what that announcement is. So we'll get ready for that, and before we go into the list here, I'm going to have you come on with that announcement. Atlanta 180, Mike in Cherry Log. We've got you in the log as well. It's great to hear from you, Mike, and you sounded great on the radio tonight, and very much enjoyed that QSO with you and 172. At this time, Net Control is going to go ahead and open up the check-ins to anyone on any repeater anywhere, including Pine Log, including new members, guests, and youth. Please call Net Control now.
RKN 715, Atlanta 520, Mark and LJ.
WRKT 530, ATL 671, this is Sean in Ball Ground, Georgia.
RKN 715, 8 Atlanta 521, Bailey from LJ, just in and out.
This is WRKT 303, Atlanta 081, Talking Hawk, Georgia. Name is James.
Haha, the mute button. All right, excellent. We have Atlanta 520, Mark in LJ. It's great to hear from you, Mark. Looking forward to chatting with you here in a little bit. We have Atlanta 671, Sean in Ball Ground. Thank you, Sean, for your check-in. It's great to hear from you. This might be a new member. We have Atlanta 521, Bailey in LJ. Bailey, I've got you in and out tonight. Thank you so much for your check-in. I appreciate you hanging out. And Mark, thanks for getting your family involved on GMRS radio. That's very, very cool. And we have Atlanta 081 James in Talking Rock. We've got you in the log tonight. Thank you, James, for checking in. Looking forward to talking with you here in a little bit. Do we have any additional check-ins? Any repeater anywhere? Please call net control now.
GMRS Q720 ACL 6 at Deborah in Hall County.
Deborah in Hall County, can you come back with your TAC number? I know that you called it out, but there was a little bit of noise right at that very moment, and I missed it. Can you come back one more time with your TAC number, please, Deborah? Okay, I heard something 36. I'm not sure. Not sure what the rest of that was. I'm going to ask you one more time. I'm sorry. I'm going to listen really hard. If you'll key the mic, wait just one moment, and then speak your tactical unit number to me again, please. Perfect. I heard 686, and I heard that very clearly, so that's excellent. Okay. All right. That is a great start to the evening. I guess just in case anybody else is trying to get in, I'm going to go ahead and make one more break for any additional check-ins, and then we're going to see if Houston has an announcement for us. Net control standing by for any additional check-ins, any repeater, anywhere.
This is Atlanta 141, WRST 900, Ken and Big Canoe checking in.
Okay, there was a double there. I heard Atlanta 141 Ken in Big Canoe. Thank you, Ken, for checking in with us this evening. Can the other station that tried to check in please try again? You got covered up. One more time, please.
This is Atlanta 410's wife, Giselle from Canton.
Excellent. Atlanta 410 and a half. It's great to hear from Mrs. Glenn. Thank you very much for checking in with us tonight. We're going to go ahead and put you in here in the log. And like I say, it's great to hear from you. And GMRS Radio is all about family communications. So it's excellent to have you on the air with us. So again, thank you for checking in. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Atlanta 780 and see if he has an announcement he would like to share with the group.
Hi, good evening, Justin. I have no idea what you're talking about. Oh, you're talking about Wallace Barbecue. Okay. Yeah, we're thinking about having a get-together at Wallace Barbecue in Austell, May 15th. We're going to have to get with Justin again and see if we figured out what kind of a time.
Let's see, May 15 is a Saturday. I'm going to suggest we do something like 7 p.m. I think a gathering will likely last about 2 hours. Are they open until 9, Houston?
I believe that is their closing time. Maybe a little earlier than that or not, to be honest with you.
Well, if that's the case, let's bump it up. Let's make the start time 6 p.m. 6 p.m. at Wallace Brothers on May 15. It's a barbecue place. Got room for probably a couple dozen people. So we're going to put up a post on Facebook probably either later tonight or sometime over the weekend. And with that post, we're going to put a poll in there, and we're going to ask people to indicate their intentions. It's not an RSVP. It's not going to be a, you're not going to be obligated, but we just want to get a feel for how many people are intending to show up for the barbecue gathering in Austell on May 15th. That's a Saturday, and that'll be at 6 p.m. And we'll probably close the joint down, but that'll be a good time for folks to get out and get on their way home anyway. So we've come to the place where many of us have gotten our shots, and many of us are more interested in getting out and meeting people and socializing and that sort of thing. And we just thought that maybe this is the time to go ahead and kick things into gear and have another North Georgia GMRS gathering. Not an official event. This is something that just the membership will gather and do on their own. So we don't have Gary's permission to do this, and it's not something that's sanctioned by the North Georgia GMRS organization. It's just something that we're organizing as members of that group to do, and gather and meet friends and put faces to voices, and maybe shake a hand. Maybe not. Bring your hand sanitizer, bring your masks, bring whatever precautions that make you comfortable to come. And if you're still uncomfortable, then please, by all means, wait for another event. Certainly no obligation for anyone to attend if they are in any way uncomfortable gathering at this time. So, Houston, did I leave anything out? Do you have anything to add?
No, sir. I don't think so. I think we covered all of it. I talked with Mark, and he talked like he would have enough people to keep us served. And I'll call him the week before or 3 days before, and just to let him know that we are going to come. And should be set.
Well, that's fantastic, and I am very excited at this opportunity to gather and to meet some of our folks. I know many won't come, and that's okay. We'll have other events throughout the season. We are talking about hosting a North Georgia GMRS fox hunt. That'll probably be at a park somewhere in the Atlanta region. We haven't gotten far enough in that conversation to even narrow down where we're going to do that at. And at some point through the season, we may try to organize a picnic also at a park someplace. So that's the kind of event that would be very easy to maintain social distance, and you can bring your own food, and we'll just meet and greet and mingle and speak to one another. And so that'll be coming up sometime, probably early fall. So we've got something for May. We'll have something early in the summer, and then something again early in the fall, and then who knows what the winter will bring. We'll just have to see what plays and what opportunities are available and what circumstances dictate. So we've got a lot there to consider. So with that, I'm going to go ahead to the top of our list, and let's get this thing started. We were talking about music, and what I had in mind was what music has influenced you, or maybe directed a way of your thinking or a way of your life, or maybe even has led you down a career path. And for me, once upon a time, I think like every teenage kid, I dreamed of making it big in rock and roll, and I bought a bunch of sound equipment, and I ran sound for bands and bars and nightclubs and parks and all sorts of things. And I starved. It was a terrible market. Fort Wayne, Indiana is nowhere near the market that Atlanta is for live music. And, well, it just didn't work out. So, but I tried. I love rock and roll music. I love all music. Well, there's some music that I don't love. But, for the most part, I listen to bluegrass. I listen to gospel. I listen to Christian rock. I listen to alternative rock. I listen to heavy metal, classic rock, the 80s hair bands, the ballads, all of it. I listen to all of it. So tell me, William, what influences have music brought to your life? Atlanta 417, William in Auburn.
I mostly listen to country music. I got a little age on me, so that was the most popular thing I could use in country music. We listened to a lot of the 50s music, going down the road and that sort of thing. The wife don't like country music, so I have to compromise there and listen to the 50s.
Yes. Well, and there's a lot of that goes on here. There's music that I enjoy that 947 gets tired of hearing the same stuff over and over again, and I never ever do. So every now and then we have to put on things that she likes to listen to, and what she doesn't realize is that I don't hate her music. I actually kind of like most of it, and here lately she's gotten to the place where she listens to a lot of country music, and William, I think that you would probably agree that country music today is a lot different than it was in the 70s and 80s. And I think that country music today is about what pop music was back in the 80s and 90s. You see it along those lines?
That's Roger. I agree with you on that. Most of today's stuff I really don't care for. I like the old ones, the original, the oldie goodies, like I say, the 50s music and the country music that was back in that time. Today, I like some of it, but some of it I just don't have an ear for, I guess.
Yeah, I hear you, and I get it, and it has changed a lot. One of the genres of music that I think has kind of lost its roots, so to speak. But in any case, classic country music from back in the 50s, that's even before, that's an era before any of the country music that I'm familiar with. So, the Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Merle Haggard and those guys are the country music that I'm familiar with, and so you're probably a whole list of folks even before that. Well, thank you for your comments this evening, William. I'm going to go ahead and move on now to Chattanooga 84. James, I believe James is in Hickson, Tennessee, checking in and out with us this evening. Thank you, James, for that check-in. And that brings me next to Atlanta 555. Dave in Marietta. Dave, can you tell me how music has influenced you?
Sorry, Justin. You caught me with my mouth full. I'm eating the dinner. So, yeah. So, I'm a child of the 70s. Graduated high school 77. 554 graduated in 75. So Eagles, yeah, that's our go-to. Luckily, we get to see the Eagles in concert in California a couple times, and then last year, February, right before COVID shut everything down, we got to see them downtown Atlanta, and man, they brought back memories. So yeah, we like just about any 70s or 80s music. Yeah, that's about it. Back to you.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love the Eagles? And they tried so hard to break into the country music scene, and they just never made it happen. But they got close. They got close. What a great band. Some phenomenal musicians. A lot of history there. And, yeah. If you just sit and listen to some of the lyrics to some of that music, there's a depth of thought behind it and a story to be told. Very enjoyable stuff. Thank you for that, Dave. Next, I'm going to move on to, I have to know. Before I go on, I have to know, are you grilling in the driveway again?
No, it's it's leftovers tonight, but it ain't bad. It's leftover ribeyes, so we're loving it.
Ah, very nice. Yes, and when you make good food, you always make too much. I know, I'm guilty. And sometimes the leftovers are like good music. It's just worth listening to it again. So I like it very much. Next on my list is McDonough 22, Tim in Stockbridge. Tim, can you tell me about how music has influenced you?
Oh, well, Justin, I've been a big music fan all my life. I play guitar, although I'm not any great guitar player, but I started playing guitar when I was about 15. And I like a little bit of everything. Old-time country music especially. I'm not fond of country music radio. It kind of depresses me if I listen to it too long, but 70s rock, country rock. I'm a big blues fan. I like Clapton, Stevie Ray, guys like that. And I was also a big Motown fan. I thought that was some great music. But I'm also, as you were talking about a minute ago, a big Eagles fan. I think probably if I had to name my favorite band of all time, it would be the Eagles. I just like their talent from their harmonies, their writing of the songs, the kind of music that they did, the musicianship. I just thought it was all excellent. I could listen to the Eagles, all day long, and so yeah, I like listening to the music, at home here at times. I like listening to it in the car, on the radio, and I definitely couldn't imagine life without a little music there,
Good stuff, yes. And the blues, the Delbert McClinton and Eric Clapton and Joe Bonamessa, and the list just goes on and on. There's so much good blues music. I think probably one of the all-time favorite songs of mine is a simple little blues piece called Stormy Monday. Love that song. But that's good stuff. And the Eagles, I mean, what a big thing that is. That they, I mean, just very high quality, like you say, good musicianship, good writing, a benchmark, so to speak. So good stuff, Tim. Thank you for all of that. Great to hear from you, and hope that you have a good week. And talk to you again soon. Next on my list is Atlanta 168, Rob in Dawsonville. Rob is currently being influenced by music. I believe he is at band practice, so we'll see if he checks in with us here in a little while. My guess is that if he has a subject related to music, it might have to do with a. See, is that a wind? Well, it's certainly a wind instrument. In any case, we'll see what Rob has to say when he comes back to us. Next, we have Chattanooga 58. Bill in Chattanooga. Bill, can you tell us how music has influenced you? All right. I think Bill is in and out with us tonight. I know that he's a busy guy and he's engaged in a number of nets. And Thursday nights are a big night for a lot of ham nets. And Bill is most likely engaged in one of those. So we'll say thank you, Bill, for checking in with us this evening. And we'll go ahead and move right on to Atlanta 253. Donald in Blairsville. Donald, I had a tough time hearing you. Have you been able to improve your signal at all? And can you tell me about any musical influence that you have? All right. Flip is telling me that Donald is in and out tonight. So we're going to go with that. Thank you, Donald, for your check-in this evening. It's great to hear you on the air. Hope that we can catch up with you again real soon. Next on my list is Noonan 25, Joe in Fayetteville. Joe, thank you for checking in and out with us this evening. It's great to hear from you. Also someone who is very engaged in radio activities, and I know that Joe is often participating in several nets on Thursday nights. The North Georgia GMRS net is often his third or fourth net for Thursday night. So thanks, Joe, for taking a minute and poking your head in here, and hope that you're able to monitor at least part of it. Next, we have Atlanta 252, Shad in Emerson. Shad, I believe this might be the first time I've spoken with you. Is that correct?
Yes, sir, that's correct.
Well, welcome to North Georgia GMRS Net. We're excited to have you along with us tonight, and looking forward to hearing you on the air more and getting to know you a little bit. And let's start off getting to know you a little bit by talking about any musical influences you may have had.
I believe it would be Willie Nelson and Hank Williams Jr.
Another great set of musicians there, and Willie Nelson is also one that I very much enjoy. So much of the music that he's created and been a part of. Excellent musicianship there, and even as of late, I've enjoyed his little cameo appearances with the likes of Casey Musgraves. I wish I could think of the name of the song that he kind of sat in with her, did a music video together with her. But very, very cool stuff. And Hank Williams Jr., that's a lot of fun stuff there. Willie Nelson, Hank Williams, Waylon Jennings, Johnny Cash, those guys are a blast. So good stuff, Shad. And while I've got you on here, I want to go ahead and take another minute and ask how you found out about North Georgia GMRS, and what do you enjoy about the network so far?
Well, I applied for my GMRS license, kind of sort of as an emergency preparedness thing for my fiance and myself. I do work for a city government. And then sort of thereafter, we got a postcard, and I researched it, and I said, hey, let's give it a try.
Well, fantastic, Shad. I'm glad that you got that postcard. In fact, I have a stack of them on my desk right now. I ran out of stamps, so I'm going to run to the post office tomorrow and pick up some more stamps, and I'll drop these off while I'm there, and they will be going out for 49 new GMRS licenses that have been acquired in Georgia in the last 2 weeks. So great to hear that, Shad. And yeah, GMRS is a great way to get emergency communications established for a family. The license covers family members, and once your fiance is your wife, then she'll be covered. Until then, she'll require a separate license to be technically legal, but in any case, she doesn't have to take a test or become all that knowledgeable. She just has to know how to hold the microphone and what button to push and how to change a channel. So relatively simple stuff and a great way to get started. And I'll tell you one thing that many of our members will attest to. Let me break real quick. GMRS radio is a gateway hobby to other radio habits. So many of us, including my wife and I, started off in GMRS radio, only to find out later that we enjoy radio so much that we become amateurs. My wife and I are both generals, and I'm in pursuit of my extra, hopefully sometime this year. So good stuff, Shad, and welcome to the group here, and look forward to hearing from you and eventually hearing from your wife. And that'll be very cool. Next on my list, I have Atlanta 545, Jerry in Cleveland. Thank you, Jerry, for checking in with us this evening. I've got you in and out. And that brings me next to CV Smith in Murrayville. CV, can you tell me about your musical influences?
I got a peaceful, easy feeling. Over.
Well, that is a great feeling to have, and that is a great piece of music indeed. So let me break here real quick.
Now, I'll be glad to add more net control.
Go ahead, CV. I'd love to hear it.
Started out in elementary school playing saxophone, went through high school playing saxophone and bassoon, went to the University of Georgia on bassoon, degree in music education, played a lot of kinds of music, love country music.
I copy all of that, and you know that it occurs to me. I believe I monitored a QSO with you, and maybe it was 434 about music in relationship to high school and maybe marching bands or high school orchestras. I was busy at the time, so I wasn't able to sit and focus. But I remember bits and pieces of your QSO along those lines. Do you have education experience in the music business?
Had about 80% of a music education degree, but people in Athens, Georgia told me I was more interested in partying than getting a music degree. Over.
Well, you know, in a lot of circles that music and partying go hand in hand. And, you know, one inspires the other, and it kind of can go either way. But I suppose that could very well be true. I can't tell you how many times I would show up for a gig, and you know, bring my expensive sound equipment to set up on a stage someplace, only to find that it's not a stage; it's somebody's patio or deck, and I've got way more equipment than they can possibly, you know, employ at this. You know, my sound system was set up for small coliseums and arenas, and people would hire me to bring my stuff for a band and not realize what kind of stuff I would have, and then about half the time that I would show up at venues like that, I just wouldn't even unload the truck because I knew I wasn't going to get paid.
You unload, plug up, and blow a fuse. Over.
Yeah, I mean that's the kind of thing that I've had happen plenty of times too. We only bring half the amplifier racks off the truck because we know there's not enough power in a house to run both racks. So had all of those scenarios play out, and the most common ending is that you either don't get paid or you don't get fully paid. And in a situation like that, there's really not much recourse. You know, whereas if you're performing, if you're bringing equipment in and you're renting to an established band or an established venue, then you can pretty well leverage a payment at some point. But yeah, those college bands were tough to work with for that reason. So good stuff, CV, and love to hear more about your musical experience and history as we go. Next on my list, I have Atlanta 554, Cherie in Marietta. Cherie, are you finished with dinner, and are you going to talk with me, or did you just check in and out?
So, Justin, this is 555. Unfortunately, 554 is shy, and I don't know why. I'm working on her. We'll get her there. She did want me to remind you your comment about the Eagles getting in the country, that after Glenn Fry passed, that country as you get. So the Eagles kind of got a little bit country.
Yeah, you know, and it's really hard to think of Joe Walsh as any kind of country, but I saw Joe Walsh play with Sheryl Crow, and that was pretty interesting. The two of them playing, and it was a very rock and roll sound. It wasn't country at all, but Sheryl Crow has she does a lot of rock and roll too, but she has a very country music voice, at least to me, and I just thought that combination of Joe Walsh and Sheryl Crow as very ironic, but great stuff. You can find that. I can't think of the name of the song, but you can find it on YouTube. I'm sure it wouldn't be that hard to search. So thank you, Cherie, and we are definitely looking forward to learning more about you. Appreciate your comments. Yes, Glenn Fry. What an unfortunate history between Glenn and Don Henley. I just, I don't know enough about that dynamic to be able to speak intelligently about it. And I think that's mostly because neither one of them have really revealed the real deal there. But there was a lot of tension and a lot of disagreement there. So an interesting observation. So thank you for all of that, and we'll look forward to catching up with you again. Don't be shy. We'd love to hear you on the air. Next, we have Atlanta 434. Did I? Oh, never mind. Yeah, I've confused myself. Atlanta 434. Ron incoming. Ron is in and out with us this evening. Ron is the one that I was thinking of earlier in band practice this evening. Next, I have Atlanta 291. Nick in Ackworth. Nick is in and out with us this evening. Thank you, Nick, for checking in tonight. Glad to have you in the log, and I hope that you have a great evening. And that brings me next to Atlanta 261. Scott in Holly Springs. Scott, can you tell me about your musical influences?
Thank you, Net Control. Oh my gosh. I guess this is my topic. Go on about an hour, but I'm going to break it down real quick. My 1 to 3 band. But yes, before I do that, father-in-law is a master guitarist and drummer over at the house. He's got a nice little setup and so forth, so we're trying to bring him back in. And it's a beautiful thing. Let me break, and I'm going to go real quick for my 1, 2, 3. All right. If anybody knows me, they know I love music from this and that genre, big band to rap, and I'm working on that. But I'm going to go number 1. Everybody knows Luther Vandross is my guy. Took the Mrs. Atlanta 262 to the Fox Theater in 2002 to go see Mr. Luther, and it was just, that's my guy. And this list has not changed in 20 years. Number 2, Def Leppard, my first cassette tape. Wore that thing out, mowing lawns with the little Walkman. Def Leppard, number 2. Number 3, Grateful Dead. Spent a couple of summers riding around, camping, or wherever they call it, and never missed an Atlanta show when they were here. That's a whole nother conversation. Let me break. Okay. This I want everybody to listen to, so to speak. Billy Strings. Billy as in Billy Goat, and strings as in guitar strings. Billy Strings. Just YouTube him, and that's my new guy, let's say, for the last year, and awesome. But we can get into pop punk and punk rock, but yep, I love it all. Thank you, Mr. Justin. Hopefully this new cord for the mic is working. Thank you.
Good stuff, Scott. And yeah, the cord for the mic is working, but there's a lot of washing in and out. I thought that you were on the HT. So not sure what's going on with the noise washing in and out, but it's not a steady white noise. It's kind of, you're crystal clear one moment, and then the waves come in and cover you up a little bit, and then they go right back out again. So that's why I thought you were walking around on an HT or turning your head or something. But great stuff. Luther Vandross, Def Leppard, Grateful Dead, and Billy Strings. I don't know about this Billy Strings. I might have to look that up. Fortunately, it's in the notes for our log tonight, so it'll be preserved indefinitely for future reference. Thank you so much for your comments. That brings me next to Shoshing in Alajay. Shoshing is our youth check-in tonight, and very glad to have her in the log and part of the group tonight. Thank you so much for checking in. You sound terrific on the radio, and we look forward to hearing you on the air again soon. Shoshing is in and out with us this evening, so we'll move next to Atlanta 948. Gary in Woodstock. Gary is also a guitar player, and he enjoys country music, and he enjoys all of the music that I enjoy, because he just doesn't have a choice. Being my neighbor, he's going to hear it. But he's pretty easy to get along with, and apparently he does enjoy most of what I listen to. So that's fortunate for both of us. So appreciate Gary checking in with us this evening, but he couldn't stick around. He's a busy guy, and I think his bedtime was about an hour ago. Next on my list is Atlanta 57, Andrew in Holly Springs. Andrew, do you have any musical influences you'd like to share with the group?
Good evening, Justin, and everyone in the net. Yes, with music, I will say the most influence that music has to me is bringing back memories. And I'm sure it does it for everybody. So, but I can think of particular songs from like the 60s and the 50s that my parents would play, and I'll hear them here or there on various radio stations, and it really morphs me back. And that's gone on through my entire life. It can be a song that I listened to over and over and over again in high school, and I can listen to it now over and over and over again, and it still brings me back to that time. So that's what music does for me. It's just it brings back great memories, and they stick with me. It can be a particular song that I don't even consciously put together for a memory, but it automatically brings it back just subconsciously. It's great, and that's what it does for me. And I'm a very genre-rich person. There is about nothing I don't like. I like a little bit of everything.
Yes, and that's a great observation. So much of what we do and what we engage in and who we spend time with can relate in some way to music. There are several people from my youth that I associate with different songs or different artists, and if I hear a particular song or even a band come on, it makes me think of different people from those days. And you're right, it can be reminding of experiences and places, and it's a very cool and powerful mental stimulus. So I don't know how it is for other folks, but for me, there's constantly a sort of a soundtrack that runs through my mind. If I don't have something actively playing through one of the devices here in the studio or out on the deck or in the vehicle, it kind of doesn't matter, because there's still music that's playing in my head. And it's not necessarily good music. It's not necessarily my favorite music. I'll get songs stuck in my head for days. And sometimes they're good songs and sometimes they're awful. But, they're stuck. And that's okay. It's just I think one of the ways that music has a way of driving who we are and what we do and how we remember things. Good stuff, Andrew. Great to hear from you this evening. Hope you have a terrific week and look forward to talking with you again soon. Next on my list is Atlanta 26, Flip in Druid Hills. Flip, do you have anything you'd like to share with regard to music and influence with you?
And when I die, bury me deep. A pair of speakers at my feet. A pair of headphones on my head. And always play the Grateful Dead. Actually, I grew up, my father was quite an audiophile, and he used to listen to a lot of big band music, which I still love today. Big band is awesome, and also jazz. So I don't know how I made the jump to Grateful Dead and really jam band music, but that's kind of where I've been over the years. I really, really enjoy it. And, you know, somebody mentioned cutting grass. I was cutting grass. I have this 20-minute version of Fish playing Boogie on Reggae Woman, and it is just awesome. So I think that's kind of where I go to. Really, my roots are in jam band, but I love a lot of different music. My daughter plays the double bass in a youth orchestra and has played the piano a lot. So I have a very wide range of music appreciation, but jam band is probably where it's at for me overall, underneath it all. Anyway, Atlanta 26.
Fantastic, and I'm just chuckling here because yeah, I can kind of relate to a lot of that, and you know, jam bands, I never really appreciated the Allman Brothers Band. You know, I came to love blues music sort of late in life, and then that kind of fell over into some of the Allman Brothers music, and I was sitting on the bus one afternoon listening to music on my headphones, and the Allman Brothers came on, and it felt like half of the bus ride was just that song, and literally it was. So very interesting stuff. And when it's a good song, it kind of doesn't matter that it's 22 and a half minutes long, because it's enjoyable for 22 and a half minutes over and over and over again. And same thing with a lot of, you know, the just that groove or that jam that you can get into with music. And most bands don't have such a long session, but there are several pieces of music that have that groove or that jam that you connect to, and the song is too short and you want to hear it again because you know that groove just feels so good. And that's something that I always looked for in live music. And whenever I could find a musician that could pull the groove out, I always tried to make some emphasis of that and encourage that to happen more. And not always easy to find, and not always easy to do, and not always easily recognized, especially by the musicians that are playing. Sometimes they just don't see it the same way other people do. Maybe it's just because I see things differently, and that could very well be too. But good stuff, Flip. Thanks for your comments this evening. And again, thanks for your help in the log. Tonight, I have struggled immensely, and you have bailed me out time and again, so I appreciate that. Next on my list is Atlanta, 410, Glenn in Canton. Glenn, can you tell us how music has influenced you?
I think for me, it's growing up kind of 70s, 80s. A lot of that music, you know, just brings back, you know, memories even today, like some of the other guys were saying. But, you know, it's mostly Southern, you know. I like the AC/DC. I like Iron Maiden, and for heavier stuff, Metallica and Ozzy. But really, it goes on, you know, like Queen, Pink Floyd. So that's my all my go-tos, and a lot of other stuff. But mostly it's all revolves around that. As far as me being musically, my whole family has musical talent, especially my brother 401, which I know he's listening. He just didn't get a chance to check in, but he was in a band, guitar, vocals. So I left all the musical chromosomes in the womb for him to absorb. So that's me.
Well, that's very cool. And, you know, I don't have any musical talent myself. I can hear things really well, and I'm able to discern, you know, the different instruments in a mix, and I can hear some very subtle things in music and in sound that many people cannot. I can hear time in sound, and that's something that is very difficult for a lot of people to comprehend. Is something that we refer to as smear, and it involves, you know, the alignment of transducers in a speaker system. If they're not aligned properly, you can really mess up the way that a speaker system can perform, and when you have big speaker systems, it can have a much bigger effect. And some people have no idea why their sound system sounds so bad, and usually it's because they're not properly aligned in time. And that's something that I've always been able to do by ear, but they have fancy electronics that do that automatically now. It's not fair, but it works. So that's very cool stuff. And Glenn, while I've got you here, I don't want to miss the opportunity to get to Atlanta 410.5 on the air if she's handy and willing. Don't want to push the issue, but if she's interested in coming on and talking about any musical influences that she has, I would love to hear from her.
I'm here. Musical influence was like classic rock, house jams from the 80s. Growing up with older cousins that used to listen to Chicago, Boston, Fleetwood Mac, James Taylor,
Oh yeah.
Carole King. That music still today, when I listen to it, it just makes me reminiscent of my childhood.
And you know, those are all favorites of mine. And I tell you, I've really been enjoying on YouTube a couple of bands that I want to talk to you about. And the first one is this Russian band called Leonid and Friends. And Leonid is a Russian bass player who sat down and listened to the music of Chicago and charted out all of the instruments and all of the musical notes for the entire set of albums of the band Chicago. And then he got friends to come into the studio. This is a music professor in some university in Russia. He got friends to come in and play the charts, play the music that he had written based off of transposing them from listening to Chicago. And it is note for note perfect listening to the albums. To hear them play live is just like listening to a Chicago album. It's amazing how true and accurate it is, and very, very enjoyable. So I would encourage you to go to YouTube and search Leonid and Friends and enjoy some of that. And another YouTube cover band that I've found recently that I've been enjoying very much is a band called the Lexington Lab Band. And very much a studio band, but they play excellent covers of bands like Boston and Foreigner, and the list just goes on and on. And so I've really been enjoying a lot of these cover bands on YouTube here lately, listening to a lot of that while we're out there in a tiki bar. So great stuff, and some great comments there. Many of my very favorite bands to listen to. So thank you for that. And Glenn, can we get your wife's name for the log?
It's Giselle, Giselle.
Giselle. Well, thank you very much, Giselle. I'm glad to have spoken with you this evening and hope very much that we can catch up with you again real soon. So thank you, Glenn and Giselle, so much for that. Next on my list is Atlanta 780. Houston in Austell. Houston, can you tell me about your musical influences?
Don't have a lot of influences. My brother was a guitar player, and my son plays a little bit of everything, but I didn't get into very much of it. Back when I was about 12, I think I went to a studio and learned how to play an accordion, but that was kind of messed up in Vietnam when my hands were damaged. So we still got it, we just don't play it. I like to listen to, of course, Willie Nelson and Hank Williams, Johnny Cash, and I like a lot of Elvis's songs. I don't know, just music. About the only time I listen to it is when I'm in the truck going somewhere.
Well, I think that's true for a lot of us, that, the vehicle is the place where we listen to a lot of music. I've spent a lot of hours on the road in my life, and have put a lot of hours on listening to music. and that's a very enjoyable way to pass the miles. That's for sure. And yeah, Johnny Cash, holy cow, what an amazing artist Johnny Cash is. And one of the things that most impresses me about Johnny Cash, not just from the showman that he was through the early years, but later in life, after June had passed, he made some recordings, and he made covers of the Beatles and of Tom Petty. He made a cover of a band called 9 Inch Nails, a song called "Hurt," and these are pieces of music that were very, very good pieces of music on their own, but because of the way that Johnny Cash has interpreted these pieces of music, they have a different meaning, and they have a different they just make a difference. They have a different impact when you hear them versus what the original was, and I think that's not just because Johnny Cash is Johnny Cash, but because of his experiences and the way that he interprets those songs and the way that he conveys them is entirely different. Trent Resnick, I think his name is. I probably have that wrong. I'm not a 9 Inch Nails fan, but he was the guy that wrote the song "Hurt," and he talked about when he first heard that Johnny Cash wanted to cover the song, he thought, well, it's a gimmick, it's a novelty, it won't amount to anything, and he didn't really care about it. But as time went on, and finally he heard the Johnny Cash version of his song, his comment was, "It's like watching someone kiss your girlfriend. She was yours once, but she's not anymore." And when you listen to that song "Hurt" by Johnny Cash, you'll know just exactly what that statement means. Very cool piece of music. Thank you, Houston, for those comments, and thank you especially for organizing the first North Georgia GMRS gathering of 2021, and the first one in over a year. So we're very anxious to participate in that. And again, folks, look for a post on Facebook with some additional information and a poll. We want to find out how many people are interested in coming. If it's a lot of people, we may have to make a little change to the venue. But if it's what we imagine we'll get, then it'll be fine. So we just have to get an idea what how many folks are interested. And it's a strange environment these days because, let me break here. We really don't know how many people are ready to begin gathering yet. A lot of us have talked about it, and many of us have missed the opportunity to spend time together, and yet some still may not be quite ready, and that's okay. We don't want to necessarily push anybody into doing anything that they're uncomfortable with, but we do want to make the opportunity available. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to Atlanta 180. Mike in Cherry Log. Mike is sounding fantastic this evening, and I need. Whoop.
Sounding fantastic has never been a trait of mine.
Oh, but you do.
Is the musical influence, I think. I heard you say earlier in your presentation, oh my gosh, I lost my script. Well, I've been keeping notes and lost mine too, so I'm going to wing this for a while. If I am indeed sounding fantastic, let me take a break here. Y'all know I'm kind of long-winded.
You are indeed sounding very good, Mike, so keep on coming.
Musical influences, it's hard to... I love music, and I love all kinds of music, but it's the songwriters that turn me on. I call them modern-day poets. It's the story that you just described a while ago. What was the songwriter thinking about? What part of this is from their heart? I fell in love with what became Americana back when Waylon and Willie left Nashville because the people in Nashville were telling them
what to sing and how to sing it. They moved to Texas and became the outlaws and the beginnings of Americana music. And John Prine picked it up, and Townes Van Zandt picked it up. And I used to go to the annual Songwriters Convention down on the Gulf Coast at Floribama. If you've never been there, by all means go before another hurricane blows it away, and listen to the story behind the songs that you all. Doesn't matter who plays them, who made them famous. The music is great, but it's the story that turns me on. And darn it, I lost my script, but I have to agree with something Scott said earlier. If you've never seen or heard Billy Strings play that thing, you owe it to yourself. The kid can play. Thank you for listening. It's great news about the barbecue thing. Y'all know that's south of Atlanta, and I've swore to never go south of Atlanta again. Let me take a break. But I'm gonna bend the strings a little bit here. I'll be there. Y'all have a great night. This is 180 going to shut up for a while.
Well, you know, you're very much in tune with my way of thinking, and that is that, you know, it's the story. It's the story that makes music great. And you know, if it's a good story, it can be a great song. If it's a bad story, or if there's no story there at all, if you don't have a story to tell, then what's the point? So, and I think that is, at least in my mind, that's the margin between mediocre music and really good stuff is the story that's behind it, and the story that makes the song what it is. And so I very much agree with that. But Mike, I think some very good news for you, and that is that Austell is actually west of Atlanta. So you don't have to go through or even into Atlanta to get there. You can stay north and stay all the way out of. You don't have to even get on the perimeter if you don't want to. You can get there the other way around, and it works just as well. That's the way I always go. So west of Atlanta, not south. I think you'll be okay. So look forward to seeing you there if you're able to come. Next on my list, I have Atlanta 520 Mark in LJ. Mark, can you tell us about any music that has influenced you along the way?
Thank you, Justin, and as always, thank you for coming to Nestor Season. Yeah, music has been a big part of my life for as long as I can remember back in life. Influenced by everything from late 50s, rock and roll, rockabilly, up through the 60s and the British invasions and into the 70s. Played in a lot of bands, did a lot of recording back in the 70s and into the early 80s. Wrote a number of songs. I still have, I think, a dozen or so copyrights out there. But one of the most interesting musical experiences I ever had was I was working over in Asia, and I was invited up to sit in with a band in a nightclub in Shanghai. And so they asked me to come up and play a song. So I played John Mellencamp's Rocking in the USA with Atlanta 521 singing backup about 7 months pregnant with Atlanta 522. So it was a pretty wild night. Most fun I have these days, we have a bit of a multi-track studio here in the house and a number of instruments, and do a lot of songwriting and doing a lot of recording with Atlanta 522. She sings and plays bass, and I try to fumble through as best I can playing some slide guitar with her on the resonator. But some of the most fulfilling moments I have is with the family, writing a song and then recording, working through the various instruments. It's just a very wonderful sharing experience. So music has just been a wonderful influence, a wonderful harmonizing part of my life.
Very cool to have the the recording equipment at home and the instruments and stuff. Something that I always enjoy being around, but I've never really been able to pick up an instrument and make it make good sounds. I can make it make sounds, but my timing just doesn't work that well. I just don't move in a musical way. So, um, excuse me here one moment. Is there an emergency? I'm on the air. Okay. Sorry about that. My phone rang a number of times in short sequence. It was my brother in Florida calling, and I thought that there might have been an emergency that I needed to be engaged in, and he's just being absent-minded. So, my apologies to everyone for that interruption. And Mark, exciting stuff. I wish that I were a little bit better at playing music. I enjoy it very much, but it's best if I do all my work behind the soundboard and not on the stage. So if ever I'm on the stage during a performance, it's better be because somebody's microphone became unplugged or something of that nature. There's no other reason for me to be on the stage. Very cool stuff, Mark. Thank you for that, and thank you especially for having your family involved in tonight's net. Getting Shojing and Bailey to check in with us has been fantastic. Very much enjoy having them a part of the group. So thank you for that. Next on my list is Atlanta 671 Sean in Ball Ground. Sean, is this your first check-in with us?
It actually is. It's my first, tonight's check-in was my first GMRS transmission to repeater ever.
Well, you're making it. Your audio is just a little bit low, but the carrier is good, and your signal is strong. So, Sean, can you tell me about any musical influences that you may have had?
Not much of anything other than growing up listening to country music my dad would play, and old country is probably the best country.
Oh yeah, and you probably heard me talking earlier with with William about country music today being a lot like pop music back in the 70s, 80s, or more likely the 90s. It's just the progression has been very interesting, but the sound is so much more like pop music. There's no country music sound quality about what modern country music is, so to speak of. So it's kind of been lost, and I think there's a good reason for that. But it's unfortunate that things have happened the way that they've had to have caused that to happen, and I won't get into that tonight. But it is a big drastic change for country music, and it is a little unfortunate that some of the qualities of the roots of country music have been lost. But thank you, Sean, for your check-in tonight. And can you tell me what kind of equipment you're using to get in? Because you do sound pretty good.
Using a Bofang GMRS handheld.
All right. Well, you're right there in the sweet spot of that repeater, and you're making it in there excellent. Like I said, the audio is just a little bit low, so maybe get a little closer to the microphone or speak a little louder. But in any case, you're making it there. That's the same radio that McDonough 22 was using when he checked in tonight. So he's nice and loud on that radio, and I know that you can be too. But even if you continue just as you are, that's going to work out well for you. So welcome to North Georgia GMRS. Glad to have you on the air with us, and thank you so much for checking in. Next on my list is Atlanta 521 Bailey in Alij. Bailey is in and out with us tonight, but I'd like to thank her and love to hear her play bass. Any other instruments that she plays over there at Mark's place, so that would be very cool. Next on my list is Atlanta 081 James in Talking Rock. James, is this your first check-in with us? All right. Well, Atlanta 081 James in Talking Rock may have been in and out with us, and I just didn't get that box checked. We'll just go ahead and assume that he is. James, if we did miss you and you want to try to get in here, there'll be another opportunity when we get close to the end. That brings me next to Atlanta 686. I had such a hard time hearing that TAC number, but I got it now. Deborah in Hall County. Deborah, can you tell us about any music influence that you've had? And is this your first check-in, Deborah?
Yes, this is my first time.
Well, it's great to have you in here. And how did you find North Georgia GMRS?
Brad Yoder.
Yeah, we missed bits and pieces of that. But let me ask you again, what brought you to North Georgia GMRS? And can you tell me about any musical influences that you've had that you would like to share with the group? When you key up, be sure and speak nice and loud into that microphone and hold that press to talk button the whole time.
All right. First time. From my husband, it's how I learned about it, and Brad Yoder. Some musical interests. I play piano, and I've played that since I was a little girl. Created my own song. Am I coming through?
Yes, I've heard that you've been interested in music since you were a little girl, that you've got a piano, and that you play your own songs. And then we lost some of that after that. Can you tell me what radio you're using?
It's a Motorola XER 50. 4450.
All right, well, that is an excellent radio. So I have to think that we may be marginal on signal strength is why we're dropping in and out the way that we are. So I think the best way to overcome that is and you are speaking nice and clearly, just try to speak a little bit louder into the microphone, see if we can modulate through the noise and get you into the repeater nice and solid. Excellent stuff, Deborah. Glad to hear of the influence with piano, but I think you have more to say, and I want to give you that opportunity. All right, Deborah. Well, I'm sorry that we're missing bits and pieces of that, but you are making it into the repeater. But we're just cutting in and out at times, and I'm missing bits and pieces. You'll have the opportunity to replay the YouTube live stream, and if you go to the latter portion of the playback, you'll be able to hear what I'm hearing and hear what you sound like to us, and maybe that can help you and Michael get your radio maybe in a better operating position. But thank you so much for checking in with us this evening. It was great to hear from you. Very much enjoyed your comments tonight. We'd love to hear more about how the piano has influenced you, but we'll catch up with that another time. And again, thank you for participating in tonight's net. I'm going to move on now to Atlanta 141, Ken in Big Canoe. Ken, can you tell us how music has influenced you?
Yes, hey Justin. Like a lot of guys on this net, I grew up in the 70s, graduated from high school in 76, Georgia Tech in 81, so classic rock. Going music, just love the Eagles, Doobie Brothers, Kansas. One of my favorite bands is Foreigner. Just good classic rock, and of course the classic rock kind of goes well with classic cars. So influenced me about 5 years ago. Went out and picked up a 1970 Chevelle Malibu. I've got Astro Blue. It's got a 383 stroker, and also became the president of the Peach State Chevelles Club. Got about 100 members. 1964 to 1972 Chevelles, El Caminos, and our big canoe car club will be in Tate, Georgia, at the four-way stop on Saturday the 24th. That's not this Saturday, but Saturday after. And we'll be there from 11 to 2, do a little car show. So come out and join us. And with that, I'll go out on a little music here from Foreigner, one of my favorites.
All right, Ken. Well, we didn't hear the music, which is okay because we're not really allowed to play music on GMRS radio. But Foreigner is a great band, and I spoke earlier about a band called the Lexington Lab Band. Look for that on YouTube. They do some Foreigner covers, and they are phenomenal. Very enjoyable stuff to watch. And what I like about these cover bands that I've been seeing on YouTube is the excellent musicianship and how accurately and truthfully they play. You know, I talked earlier about the band called Leonid and Friends, and oh shoot, I can't remember the name. One of the musicians from Chicago has actually become friends with the drummer from Leonid and Friends, Igor something or other, and the drummer from Chicago. And one of the things that he appreciates about this tribute band is the fact that they play the music live better than Chicago plays the music live. And his point is simply that, you know, when they go out and play a live show, they would play the music of Chicago, but they were playing the songs as they felt at that moment. They improvised throughout the show, and it was still a very good show. I've seen Chicago in concert, and they do put on a very good show. And I didn't realize they weren't playing it, you know, any differently than the record. But they don't. They don't have any intention when they go on stage of playing the exact same thing they played on the record. Whereas Leonid and Friends, when they play, they are playing exactly what the record was, and they're very, very good at it. And it's pretty cool when a tribute band is so good that the actual band members come out and befriend the band and have respect and mutual admiration for one another because of the quality of musicianship involved in that music. And I think that Lexington Lab Band approaches that, and they play some Foreigner. They play a lot of good stuff and very enjoyable music. So you can put that on YouTube and just let it play all afternoon, and you'll enjoy it. Even if you're not sitting in front of the computer or the TV while it's playing, the music is very good and very enjoyable to just have on in the room, which is, you know, what I do sometimes. So very cool stuff. All right, well, Ken, you are our last check-in this evening. Even though I've got 4:10 and a half, Giselle listed behind you, we spoke with her immediately following Atlanta 410. So that technically makes you our 30th check-in. With that being the case, I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor for any questions or comments or remarks through the group, and any additional late check-ins. Please call Net Control. Standing by.
This is
WRAE 210, Atlanta 442, Craig and Ackworth with the late check-in.
This is Atlanta 123, WRFT 619, Tim in Woodstock.
This is Atlanta 206, QRZ 514, Terrence in Kennesaw.
Atlanta 401, Dave in Canton.
Atlanta 228, WRKZ 366, Boy Jones,
checking in, Rome, Georgia.
WRCD 648, Chattanooga 51, all the way up here in Chattanooga.
Net control 780.
780 net control. Let me go ahead and acknowledge what I've got, Houston, then I'll come back to you. I have Atlanta 442, Craig in Ackworth. Thank you, Craig, for checking in. We'll come back to you in a moment. We have Atlanta 123, Tim in Woodstock. Thank you, Tim, for checking in. Looking forward to hearing from you. I have Atlanta 206, Terrence in Kennesaw. Thank you, Terrence. We'll talk with you in a moment. And I was anticipating Atlanta 401, Dave in Canton. Thank you, Dave, for checking in with us. Glenn said you might. And we have Atlanta 228, McCoy in Cedartown. Thank you, McCoy, for checking in with us this evening. Looking forward to speaking with you. And we have, shoot, I don't know who we have. We heard a Chattanooga check-in, and I missed the TAC number and the name. So station from Chattanooga, if you could come back, please, and then 780, I'll come to your comments. Station from Chattanooga, please come back with your tactical unit number and your name.
This is Chattanooga 51, WRCD 648, 10 up here in Chattanooga. Not sure how the audio is. I'm in a notoriously bad spot for reaching that the Atlanta repeater. But yeah, Ken from Chattanooga.
Excellent, Ken. Yeah, your audio is good. The problem is that I was still typing Cedartown when you gave your TAC number and your name, and then when I finished Cedartown, all I heard was Chattanooga. So it's just my bad. You guys you need a better net controller. That's what you need here, is somebody who can do this job a little bit better. But thank you, Ken, for your check-in. You sound great, and I'm going to come back to you here in just a couple of minutes, so hang tight. But next, I want to go to Atlanta 780 for comments.
Hi, Justin. Greg texted me. He tried to check in 172 in Bremen. I don't know whether he couldn't check in or just didn't make it, but I wanted to let you know that. And also I wanted to let you know that this Wallace Barbecue here in Austell, it's a very clean establishment. They've been there about, I don't know, 50 years. And all the waitresses and the employees wear their masks. It's a very clean place. The tables are cleaned after each group leaves or each person leaves. I just wanted everybody to know that. And they can Google it, just Wallace Barbecue in Austell, and take their own, get their own opinions of it.
All right. And, our gathering isn't until May, so folks will have a full month that if they wanted to go out there ahead of time and do a little recon and enjoy a meal at Wallace Barbecue before the gathering to get a sense of what it's going to be like, they'd be more than welcome to do that. So thank you for those comments, Houston. And yeah, I guess that's something I hadn't really considered, but it is an important thing to note that Wallace Barbecue is taking cleanliness and COVID precautions very seriously, and they have been open throughout this. I believe they may have been closed for a very short time, but they reopened rapidly and have been open for some time. And we put a lot of thought into where we wanted to have our first gathering. And this was a gathering that got canceled when COVID first struck. We had intended to go to Wallace Barbecue back when we were first faced with this, and we decided to cancel the event over concerns of whether or not it would turn into a spreader event or that sort of thing. We just didn't know what we were dealing with at that time, and I guess maybe we still don't know that much. But I do know that they have taken precautions and keep the place very clean, as Houston says, and they have been operating throughout this, and that's one of the things that we have to bear in mind. So again, I'm going to say it's an individual decision as to whether people want to participate or not. If folks are not quite ready, that's okay. If folks are more than ready and have been for some time, that's okay. This is an individual choice. So and I also want to say that this is not the last gathering that we're going to have. So if you choose to sit this one out, there'll be other opportunities, and so I don't want anyone to feel any unnecessary pressure. Do you have anything else, Houston?
No, sir. No, sir. That's about it. If you would, go ahead and check Greg in. You might give him a shout and see if he's able to get back to you. I don't know if he was in or out. He just stated he tried to make it.
Well, indeed, I do have Atlanta 172, Greg from Bremen, in the log, and let's go ahead and see if we can reach Greg. Atlanta 172. Greg, do you have any comments for the net, and do you have any musical influences you'd like to talk about? All right, Greg. Well, I hear that you don't have anything to add. The rest of that was a little bit noisy, but I'm glad that we were able to get you here in the log, and appreciate you hanging out with us and listening in, and appreciate your participation. Sorry that we don't have a better copy on you, but thank you again for checking in with us this evening. You hold the tail gunner spot at number 37. But before we close things out, we've got a handful of folks that I'd like to talk to. And so let's go back to Atlanta 442, Craig in Ackworth. Craig, do you have any musical influences you'd like to talk about?
Oh, definitely. I could go on for hours. But to start off, the gathering sounds great. I'm going to have to miss it, though. I'll be in the Cumberland Gap area on a motorcycle ride. Otherwise, I did for sure. So definitely interested in any future get-togethers. And just wanted to reach out on make a couple comments. McDonough 22 talking about that he plays guitar. And I don't play guitar, but I'm a huge guitar fan. Love Joe Satriani, Steve Vai, Jeff Beck. Even, like music like Andres Segovia, stuff like that. And funny, I was really good at songwriting and telling stories with the group and Fred. I'm sure there's probably some people out there. Let me break. I was born 1970, so my early recollection of music, was riding around with mom and dad and around the house. And they listened to a lot of different types of music. Del Shannon, Elvis, Everly Brothers, the Eagles was a big one. I remember my dad playing Frampton Comes Alive when I was a little kid, and that blew me away. And I think that planted the seed for my love for hard rock and heavy metal. But I thought about this for a day, and I'm a big metalhead, always have been. I like music of all genres. But something I remember hearing a friend of mine played for me the entire album, and it just blew me away. And that was Ronnie James Dio, his solo career. It was Holy Diver. That whole album just blew me away. And I think another similar group that did the same thing was Queensryche. Their original EP that they had and everything they did in the 80s. Let me break. But I like to sing too. I used to play trumpet years ago, so I know how to read music and all this stuff. But I really like good vocalists, and Ronnie James Dio is just, he's a vocal god, a heavy metal god. But it's been so cool over the years, to kind of become familiar with everything he did. His days in the group L, and he was with Richie Blackmore and Rainbow. flat sap. And of course, this waiter, his goal was, but yeah, he's just killer stuff. He always had really good musicians, people on guitar. It was just all killer stuff back then. So that's pretty much what influenced me and my, lifelong love of hard rock and heavy metal still to this day. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Nick.
Queensryche is a band name that I haven't heard for ages. And I believe that I was a very young teenager when I was first introduced to Queensryche. And yes, some fantastic hard rock, heavy metal references in all of that. And all of it is excellent stuff. Hard rock and heavy metal is kind of my second go-to, but man, there's times when you just want to hear that driving guitar, and those are the bands that deliver, and that's good stuff. I very much enjoy a lot of the bands that you had mentioned there. So very cool stuff, and yes, had a little trouble copying you there, Craig. I'm not sure if you're on a different radio. But the sassafras repeater was dropping you from time to time. That may have been the same trouble we were having earlier with Deborah. I'm not entirely sure. So there may not be anything wrong with your equipment, Deborah. It may be on our side. We know we have an issue with that sassafras machine, and we have a plan in place to get it repaired pretty soon. So bear that in mind. It could be our stuff and not yours. But thank you for your comments there, Craig. Good stuff. Appreciate all of that. That brings me next to Atlanta 123. Tim in Woodstock. Tim, do you have any influences you'd like to share with the group?
Good evening, Justin, and to the net. Well, I grew up listening to my mom's record albums, so I like a lot of easy listening stuff. I've got very eclectic taste. Ray Charles, Floyd Kramer, Herb Alpert, Engelbert Humperdinck. But then I move on to Waylon and Willie, Marty Robbins, Patsy Cline, and then, of course, ZZ Top, George Thorogood, Traveling Wilburys. So I love everything out there. I'm not much of a rap fan, but, and I'll give a couple that folks might check out on YouTube and see if they like it. One of them is called Postmodern Jukebox. Basically, they cover a lot of the modern songs, but they put a different genre spin on it. So some of the stuff is very interesting. And another fun group to listen to is the Cleverleys. They also do a lot of modern songs, but they actually do it to a bluegrass genre. So you can find those on YouTube. Again, Postmodern Jukebox and the Cleverleys, and folks can let me know what they think about it. But, yep, I enjoy music. It's very relaxing for me. So back to Nick.
The Postmodern Jukebox and the Cleverleys. It looks like I've got some YouTube homework to do tomorrow. There's a number of pieces here. I'm also going to have to check out Billy Strings. I'm not familiar with Billy Strings, and I've had at least two people tell me that I need to be. So I'll definitely be doing some North Georgia GMRS music homework on YouTube tomorrow. I'd do it tonight, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. So with that in mind, thank you for your comments this evening, Tim. And yes, it's a very eclectic and diverse range of musical genres that entertain you. I think that mine is equally as diverse and wide. You'd mentioned that you don't care for rap, and neither do I, but I did find one rap artist that I do enjoy listening to, and that would be Toby Mac. Toby Mac is a Christian rock or a Christian music artist, and that's the genre that you'll find him in. But he does some rap in a lot of his music, and sort of an Eminem style. But I think that you might give that a try. I very much enjoy most of what he does. It's very, very listenable and good material. And I think that my push-to-talk button might be releasing on me, so let me move my finger on it. There we go. All right, next I have, let's see, Atlanta 206, Terrence in Kennesaw. Terrence, can you, is this your first time checking in with us, Terrence?
Not the first time, but it's been a little while. Just glad to hear so much activity going on here.
Oh yeah, it's become a busy net, and even throughout the day, there's a lot of radio traffic on the bands, the GMRS network. So it's fun. It's fun hearing the various conversations that take place throughout the day and the evening. So yeah, that's been a nice change and a nice a welcome advancement for North Georgia GMRS. So Terrence, can you tell me about any musical influences that you might have?
I can. First and foremost, I grew up in Detroit, so I'm a huge Motown fan.
Yes.
And pretty much everything that came out of that. I think my favorite artist is still Stevie Wonder, and I am totally in love with Earth, Wind, and Fire and all things R&B. So looking forward to an actual concert that got rescheduled for later this year, got canceled last year, with Earth, Wind, and Fire in Santana. So August 25th, I'll finally get a chance to see Earth, Wind, and Fire, a band I've loved my whole life but never seen.
Oh, that is very cool. And Santana, another great Latin influence in rock and roll. Love the music of Santana. Earth, Wind, and Fire, the horns and the arrangements, what a powerful, powerful sound. And yeah, there's some cool stuff. I think one of the things I like about Stevie Wonder is how complex some of the pieces are. It's not just something that's thrown together. His music is very well thought out and very well organized. So very enjoyable stuff. Excellent, and thank you for your comments tonight, Terrence. Look forward to hearing you on the air a little bit more, and hopefully there's enough activity to keep you interested and engaged. Next on my list, I have Atlanta 401, Dave in Canton. Dave, can you tell us about any musical influences you have?
Well, music has kind of been a very large part of my youth. I think with a lot of people, I got my first guitar when I was 12. I was first chair trumpet, solo ensemble, and then started a rock band and played quite a lot of shows. Me and the rest of the band were roommates to try and save money, and if I ever want to remember that time, I just eat a pack of ramen noodles. But I ran sound when we had the club, the Hangar in Merida Square. I used to run sound there for a little bit. I worked in a recording studio. I've got a recording studio here, and I sort of took a break for a while. I used to do a lot of metal music and stuff, trying to find an audience. And then I always loved 80s music, so I recently decided, I'm just going to make an 80s album, and I'll call it 80s Cheese or something. And the funniest thing happened, my kids really like it, and I'd put it on, and they would sing along. So now I just make music for them, and I was trying to keep it light and fun and simple, and like I said, I was going to call the album 8 Cheese or 80s Cheese, and I wound up writing a little song about just growing old and, how my music career has faded into obscurity. So I call the album To Obscurity and Beyond, and it's about fading out, but fading out with my kids, right there at my side. And it's really great. If anybody wants to hear any of my stuff, you can look me up online, BrianManx.com, BrianManx.com. All my cheese is free for anybody who likes, some of that special cheese. But that's about it for me. I love music. I have a recording studio in the basement, and anybody that likes to play and wants to come play, I always welcome them. So that's it for me. So back to Net Control.
Fantastic stuff. I'm more of the technician guy, so I wouldn't want to come to your studio to play, but I wouldn't mind stopping by for a visit and just enjoying the technology. And audio has always been a passion of mine, and you wouldn't know it from the equipment that I sport today, but I do the best I can with the dollars I've got. And but yes, that's cool stuff. And 80s cheese puts me in mind of another cheese that happened during the 80s, at least where I grew up, it was a thing. I don't know if that was nationwide or if that was just a regional Midwestern thing, but we used to get these blocks of 5-pound blocks of government cheese. It was this processed cheese spread that I always thought it was pretty good, but people all around talk about how awful the government cheese was. I liken it to like a generic brand of Velveeta. But that was one of the things that was made available to low-income families, and it was one of those things that was often traded because so many people liked it that they would offer cash for the government cheese. I don't remember how long that lasted, but it was a thing for a year or two. I hope that that your music is equally sought after and in demand, and people will trade cash for 80s cheese.
Thanks for that. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but hey, I have a lot of fun.
Well, and that is its own reward, so very cool. All right, Dave. Well, thank you again, and appreciate your comments. And with that, I'm going to move on to Atlanta 228 McCoy in Cedartown. McCoy tried to check in with us last week, and we just didn't get the connection made. But you're here now, and McCoy, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you found North Georgia GMRS? All right, McCoy, we heard you much, much better earlier in the evening. I know conditions may have changed, or maybe you're not in the same place that you were then, but we're just barely pulling you through the noise. I think that if you can speak up nice and loud, you might be able to modulate through the noise. So let's give that a try, and at this time I'm going to ask you if you can tell us about any musical influences that you've had coming along the way there, McCoy.
Yes, I was in a different location earlier this evening when I checked in. Now, I was actually in Cedartown, home, where I work. I'm fixing to have to go into work for the evening. Yes, I've had lots of great musical influences throughout my life. Just in a nutshell, I grew up in the 80s, listening to all types of music, everything from the country. I really didn't get into any bluegrass or anything like that, but I could just listen to any kind of music and really have a great enjoyment for good music.
Much better that time, McCoy. Speaking a little louder into the radio helped, and I was able to pick up most of that. And, you know, heavy metal, everything from heavy metal to country music. I heard you say that you never really got into bluegrass. There's a bluegrass band that I think that you'll enjoy. And the band is called the Steel Drivers. And this is a band that had Chris Stapleton before Chris Stapleton became a thing in country music. And it's excellent music. It is excellent stories. And I'll tell you, there's one piece of music that I love to talk about that the Steel Drivers did. And it's a song called "The Sticks That Made Thunder." And the song is about the Civil War from the perspective of a tree. Now, as bizarre as that sounds, if you listen to that song and you listen to the words, and I'd suggest you do it sometime when you can sit quietly and really listen to it critically, because it is a very powerful piece. And if it doesn't bring a tear to your eye and move you, then there's got to be something wrong, because that is an amazing piece of music that you can listen to over and over again because it's good. And the Steel Drivers are an excellent band that happen to play bluegrass and tell very, very good stories. And check that out. I think that you might be able to add bluegrass to your list. But excellent stuff. And yes, country music, heavy metal, rock and roll, that's the core of America. And I think that that's pretty much where we are as a country, as a people, and as a group of people that in that relative age, growing up in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and that's the music that defines us. Thank you very much for that. Next on my list, I have Chattanooga 5-1, Ken in Chattanooga. Ken, can you tell me about any of your musical influences along the way?
Absolutely, Chattanooga 5-1. One of those oddballs out. Do not really care for music. I know that it's a really powerful influence on a lot of people. I'm going to do an audio check. Am I coming in fine right now?
Your audio is just a little bit low, Ken, but your signal is strong and you are fully readable.
Here, from my house, it's quite a bit more of a challenge to reach the link to the speaker than it is the local one. But yeah, I have very few musical interests these days, but I will say time I was 3 years old to 22, from K to graduating from college, every year I had the same music teacher. Every year of my life, but I do, if I'm
All right, Ken, your signal kind of deteriorated on us. We had you pretty good there at the beginning. I don't know if you moved around or what happened, but we really lost you. I heard you say that music is not a big part of your life, that you don't enjoy it that much. But I also heard you talk about from pre-K through college, you had the same music teacher. Kind of lost you in the noise after that, and make the world go around again. Thank you for that, Bobby. I appreciate the heads up. Okay, we should be back on the live stream. Sorry for the interruption. I'm not sure how much of that we missed. I would have invited you, Ken, to go to our YouTube and view your segment while you were on the air with us, so you get an idea of how you sound. But it may have been lost, so hopefully it's there, and hopefully you can go to that and listen to yourself as you sound to net control. But thank you again for your comments. So you were at a private school throughout pre-K, elementary, middle school, high school, and college at the same school. So that would be a challenge, I think, for any teacher to engage a student for all of those years. And to have the same music teacher for that time was probably not the best way to give somebody a broad education in music, because you're getting the same application from the same individual and that person's tastes and perspectives and ideas. So I can understand how that could result in a less than ideal music education. I'm also a little disappointed in my music education from school. I never really learned the things that are meaningful in terms of a life of listening to music. They made us learn how to play a recorder. They made us go through some different musical scales on a handful of instruments. Never really understood how any of those instruments related to real music. I mean, we didn't ever play the drums or the guitar in music class. It was always, things that you'd never see or hear in a modern band. And So it was impossible as a young child in school to relate music in school to music in the real world. And I think had the school done a better job of trying to bridge that particular gap, we could have had a generation of very powerful musical influencers in the world, and we did anyway. I just wasn't one of them. so so there you go. Well, thank you, Ken, and everyone else who participated in tonight's net. I'm going to break one more time for any late check-ins. We've already got a pretty big list, but let's see if there's anybody else that's just dying to get into North Georgia GMRS, and we'll wrap this thing up in a minute.
Atlanta 442 to net control.
Hey, Craig. Yeah, go ahead.
Hey, I switched over to Pine Log on the same equipment. Is that any better? And also, just one thing that came to mind. I know you're a big Rush fan, and I've always been a huge Rush fan too. They were a big influence on me as well. Still love their music today. Been listening to them since the early '80s. But yeah, what's my signal report like now?
World's better. Yeah, you're hitting Pine Log significantly better. But you were readable before. We copied all that. I think there at the end you kind of washed out a little bit, but for the most part, we got most of that.
Roger that. Back to net control.
All right. Well, with that, I'm going to open up the floor briefly one more time for any last calls, any questions, any late check-ins. Net control standing by. All right, hearing nothing, we're going to go ahead and take this opportunity to close tonight's edition of the North Georgia GMRS Regional Net. Tonight we had a total of 37 check-ins, including myself. Everyone who signed in should sign out. I'd like to thank all of you for allowing me to serve as your net control this evening, even though you deserve a much better net controller. Good night, everyone. This is Atlanta 946, WQIR 514. I'll be clear. All right, YouTube folks. Man, what a ride. We still had an interruption. I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure I fat-fingered it, and I'm going to have to try to figure out how that is happening. But in any case, we were able to recover rapidly because Bobby let me know. Thank you, Bobby, for that. And let's see if I can pot these guys down a little bit. There we go. And yeah, so appreciate y'all hanging out there with me and making this thing happen for what it's worth. This will be Atlanta 946 WQIR 514. Justin in Woodstock, thank you so much for being a part of tonight's live stream. Good night, everyone. We'll talk to you again very, very soon.